Welcome back to my three-parter special. Yeah, before you watch this episode, watch part 1 first or rewatch part 1 if you don't remember it, so you can be familiar with the basic idea of everything. I work in a restaurant for monsters, but I'm the only human employee. Part 2. Oh God. There's someone down here. Someone else. Someone alive. I scrambled to my feet and stared down the corridor to the source of the voice. My breath steams in the cold and blue-tinged air. Could it just be a prank, John? A fellow employee playing a sick joke? Or something worse? A test? A trap? I shoot a glance behind, back to the stairs that led up and out into the restaurant. Remember, John, you've got to look out for number 1. Self-preservation is key. Don't put yourself at risk. My primary thought process is interrupted by another. What? You're not even going to look? You can't afford to take a look. John, there's time. Go and see. I shiver and run a hand through my hair. I could go and look. Nothing wrong with that. So I creep down the corridor and deeper into the gloom, passing by more heavy doors, some with circular little glass windows built into them. I don't look directly through, but in the corner of my eye, I see more than enough of the twisted and sickening horrors that lie beyond. The stuck and hooked slabs of meat, hanging limbs, and worse. I round a corner at the corridor's far end, turns off at a right angle, and goes on for another couple of meters. Then comes to an abrupt stop. There are a few more doors round here, all sealed tight. I stay still for a moment, head cocked, heart pounding, and listen. A part of me, a cowardly part, hopes that I don't hear anything else, that there is nothing to be done here. I can just head back up to the restaurant, relatively guilt-free, and go the heck home. But that is not what happens. Please, comes the voice, weaker this time, but quite clear. Quite clear enough, even muffled behind the door as it is. I step closer and try to look through the circular pane, but the glass had frosted, and I see nothing but blurry shapes in the room beyond. I try the handle, locked tight. The ticking hand of my watch seems disproportionately loud. I lean back around the corner and shoot another glance up to the stairs. This goes against every instinct of self-preservation I have, but I can't help it. I'm only human. I start cycling through the keys on the ring, trying each one in the icy lock. The first one fails, as does the second. Footsteps creak above me as someone makes their way across the ground floor. Key number 3. Let's try it. My hand shakes as I bring it to the lock, fumbling as I try to fit the key inside. Succeeding, I successfully turn it around in an arc. The door rocks with a loud clunk, and I grab the handle, hauling it open. An icy cloud bellows out, and I curse as it washes over my exposed skin. It takes a second to disperse, and when it does, I see her. She can't be more than 7 or 8 years old, knees drawn up to her chest, arms wrapped tight around her shoulders. She sits and shivering violently in the corner of the room. Lines have been drawn in marker at various intervals across her body, around her arms, her sides, her legs. She stares up at me with wide and frightened eyes, and I stare back. To her right, all across the shelves are carved up pieces of human body, encased in tight, translucent plastic wrapping, scarlet stained. We remain fixed in place for a moment, her and I. "Get out, John," screams the voice inside my head. "She's the only living thing down here. She's being saved for a special occasion, and they will notice if she's missing. Leave her here." I reach behind my back and untie the deep red canvas apron that forms the key piece of my uniform. I crouch down and wrap it around her. At this slightest gesture of concern, she breaks and rushes forwards, clinging tight to my arm and shuddering, crying silent tears that stream down her face. "They'll replace her with you. How can you possibly think you can save her, John?" My sense of rationality screams at me as I hurriedly led her down the corridor and back towards the stairs. "What can you possibly do? There's no way you can get her out unscathed. There's just no way. You have to look out for number 1. This will be your undoing." "It's okay," I murmured to the girl. "It's okay. I'm going to get you out. You hear me? I'm going to get you out of here. But you have to do exactly as I say, okay?" No response. I stop halfway up the stairs and squat down, grabbing her tight by the shoulders and looking into her eyes. "Okay?" She nods quietly, tears still flowing in silent rivers. "Right. Okay. We can do this. We can do this." I take a deep breath as I grab hold of the freezer door's heavy handle, the one that will return us into the back of the restaurant. Locked. No. Oh no. I blurt out, releasing the girl's hand and using both to pull on the handle. She clings instead to my leg. No. So, it was a trap then. It was a trap all along. This is it. This is the end. Unless it's the cold, I think out loud. Is it frozen? I shoot a glance at the girl. She does not reply. I grunt and grip tightly to the handle, veins bulging in my forearms as I pull it down. And with a crack and a little burst of frost, the door swings open. Relief floods through me. It'll be short-lived, but for now, it's most welcome. I peer out and look both ways. Empty. I encourage the girl to follow, and she does so. I lock the freezer door tight behind us, and I think through my admittedly limited options as fast as I can. There are 2 ways out of this place: the fire exit in the back and the main doors at the front. None of these windows will open wide enough for her to get out. The fire exit might be alarmed, and to get to it, you have to pass through the kitchen. I swallow. Main entrance it is. I look down at the girl. She looks back up at me as she fumbles with the straps of the apron, wrapping it tightly around herself. She's so small. Could I hide her in something? I rake my brains. There's boxes in the storeroom that are used for carting off trash. She'd probably fit in one of those. But they'll notice she's missing. They'll know it was you, John. Unless... Right. Follow me. Come on. Trust me. Everything's going to be okay. My voice shakes as I speak. I imagine she can hear the fear, but she follows nonetheless. We dart back through the corridors as the sounds and smells of the main restaurant grow stronger and closer. The final stretch of corridor is a short one, and once we enter into it, we will be caught in a direct line of sight with many of the closest tables. I peer around the edge to the left, and the far end, I see patrons held in the thralls of their meals, grunting and stuffing their faces with the kitchen's finest works, distending their jaws and growling, perhaps unconsciously, as they tear the chunks of steamy flesh right off the bone. Ahead and just off to the right is the door to the men's bathroom. Stay here, I whisper to the girl. She looks like she's about to panic. I'll be right back. Just give me a few seconds. I promise. She anxiously releases her grip, and with one more glance, I stroll as nonchalantly as I can across the corridor and push through the door to the bathroom. A quick look around confirms that it is empty, and I return at once to the girl. I take her hand. Stay on this side with me. Keep pace. Don't make a sound, okay? She nods. I glance once again around the corner. No one has noticed. No one is coming. Spittle and saliva flies from the cracked and peeled lips of the closest patron, but she isn't looking this way. She's sitting at an angle. I steel myself. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, now! We stride as one across the corridor. She has to walk a little quicker to keep up, and I hear her ragged breaths alongside me. To my ears, they sounded dangerously loud. I reach out for the bathroom door, eyes ahead. As I push through, I breathe. I take her to the cubicle furthest from the door and draw her inside. You need to stay here, okay? Hide up here on the toilet. Keep your feet up and stay totally silent. I will come back for you. I promise. I won't be long. Just don't move, okay? She looks scared at the prospect of being left here alone. She shakes her head. I bring my face closer to hers. I hiss with greater desperation now. They are going to hurt you. You know this, don't you? Unless I can get you out, they are going to hurt you. A lot. So please, please, stay here. Stay silent. And I will be back. I promise. The girl says nothing, but tentatively, she releases her grip and huddles herself up and on top of the toilet. I'll be back. Lock the door, okay? Don't open it for anyone but me. And with that, I depart. I hurry back to the bathroom door, pausing to ensure that the girl does as I asked. I see her feet below the stall door. I hear the lock click, and I see her feet disappear again. She'll be okay. I return to the restaurant, pulse racing. All right, John, next steps. You're committed now. Don't screw this up. I stride down the edge of the restaurant, trying to keep in the shadows, but still avoidably catching the attention of the more shameless of the customers. I see them drag those disgusting gray-black tongues across their blood-stained mouths. I see their rolling eyes follow my movements. I feel their vile and sickly caresses against my elbows as I push into one of the side rooms. The higher class diners tend to eat in here, less noisy. I see one of my fellow employees, the waitress from earlier. All three eyes are fixed on a customer as she takes his order. I bid my time waiting, and when she's done, I alter my course and intercept her before she can return to the kitchen. Garen, hey! She looks up at me. I take her scaled wrists in my hand and push the keys into them before she has time to question me or refuse me. She grimaces. One eye looks down to her hand. The other two remain fixed on me. I don't think we've ever made intentional physical contact before. Her skin around the arms is rough and, if not quite as scaled as her hands, still harder than it should be. Why are your hands so cold? She asks. Humans are warm-blooded. Are they not? I pause. Just been outside. Smoke break. Since when did you smoke? Just started. It's stressful working here, for obvious reasons. Why are you giving me these, John? She asks. Helia wants you down in the freezer. Kitchen needs an arm. Why don't you go down? I shrug. I'm human, ain't I? I've never been down there before. I don't know where anything is. She rolls all three of her eyes. Fine, take this to the kitchen for me then. She pauses. And where's your apron? I take the order slip from her free hand. My shift's over for today. I'm on my way home. Thanks. I turn and stride away before she can ask me any more questions. I realized that was my fist had been clenched against my side of my leg and stretch my fingers, encouraging the blood flow. Back through the restaurant, the tension is palpable. I feel it like a tangible field, one that could shatter at any moment. Stay calm, John. Stay calm. I push past the doors and into the comfortable warmth of the kitchen. Order up, I say above the sizzle of the cookers, and hold the slip across the counter. Bert reaches out and snatches it with an angry mutter. Freaking heck, meatbag. I can't read a single letter on this paper. I'm already backing it away. Returning to the doors. Bert, I didn't even write that one. I don't know what it says. He stares at me incredulously, snarling. He bares his rows of green teeth and spits onto the counter. You what, boy? What you doin' wrapping orders for? You trying to make my life as difficult as possible, you dang sack of flesh? Some of the other chefs have glanced over. They pause their jobs, knives and other such fearsome apparatus in hands. The general bustle of the kitchen slows somewhat. I swallow an unpleasant experience with my deaf, dry throat. I step back up to the counter. Look, just hand it over, let me see. Heck, he barks, shoving the now crumbled and sweat-stained note back into my hand. To the guy's credit, it is actually rather difficult to read. It's, they want the steak medium rare with the leg dabs on the side. He grunts as he snarls the note back and stuffs it into the order slot. The others have returned to their duties. The bustle resumes. I get the heck out. I'm just hoping and praying I don't bump into Helia. My movements will be far harder to explain to her, and I can't leave the girl in the bathroom. She needs me. I head right across the restaurant, abandoning the shadowy edge for the more direct but less comfortable route through the tables to the corridor that will lead me to the storeroom. Waiter, someone calls. Waiter! I ignore them. For all they know, I have other duties to attend to. In a sense, I do. In the storeroom, I grab myself a new apron and hastily slip it over my neck and fasten it around my waist. I root around the piles of cardboard and pick up a large cardboard box still in one piece, and one that I'm hoping will be strong enough to hold the weight of the girl inside without collapsing. It was a smart enough plan in my head, but now that I'm looking at it, can I really carry the girl in this box? What if she's just too heavy and breaks out through the bottom? I run my hands through my hair and look around the storeroom. There's nothing else in here that'll be of any use to me. I don't have much of a choice. The box it is. I grab the thing and empty it of the papers that are strewn about inside. Carrying it back through the storeroom door, I can avoid going through the main restaurant now, and instead of head through the accompanying side corridor in my return to the bathroom. I pass by the series of disturbing pictures to which I have become accustomed over my many long months of employment. A framed portrait of a disgusting monster, less humanoid than most, could well be an old relative of Helia's. His eyes appeared to follow my movements. An oil canvas painting, one that depicts a barren field beneath the blood red of an evening sky. A pile of naked corpses sits rotting in the background. ever so slightly out of immediate focus. A blown up black and white photograph of a similar restaurant's opening. At least I've assumed it to be a different restaurant. It must be. The building is exactly the same, but I don't recognize the surrounding location. I join back up to the hallway with the bathrooms. I appreciate that I've made it sound like there are a labyrinth of winding corridors and halls that adjoin this restaurant. But honestly, there aren't actually a great deal. The freezer was larger than I expected it to be, admittedly, but it has the luxury of having an entire floor to itself. If I meet anyone coming the opposite way down one of these corridors, then I'll have to hold the box above my head to allow them to pass. Something I doubt I will be able to do if I have the girl inside. I use my foot to push through the men's bathroom. I come to a stop and suck some air in through my teeth as I do so. All 3 stalls are occupied. A man with cracked horns and bulging, shadowed sacs beneath his eyes raps irritatedly on the door of the furthest stall, the one that hides the girl. "Hello, is anyone in there?" he grunts, crouching slightly to try and peer beneath the door. "Sir," I stammer, trying to keep my voice as level as I can. "That one's out of order, I'm afraid. You might just have to wait for one of the others to open up." He eyes me greedily, sucking a long strain of saliva back into his mouth. He mutters, but says no more, and moves away, waiting by the second of the doors instead. There was an uncomfortable silence as we both stand still in the bathroom, not that far apart, waiting. Then the toilet flushes, and another of the monsters pushes out from its stall. The man with the horns take his place, shutting the door behind him, as its former occupant washes up and pushes past and out into the restaurant. Not before I quick sniff of my immediate air as he passes by me, however. I shiver in disgust and quietly step to the furthest stall. I kneel down and poke my head beneath the door, meeting the gaze of the little girl, huddled and shaking and white with terror. "Let me in," I mouth, and after a beat, she does so, tentatively stepping onto the ground and reaching for the lock as I pull back, pushing through the bathroom and quickly shutting it closed behind me. "You're going to have to get into the box," I whisper, setting it on the ground. There's not a great deal of space in here. So I shuffle to the side, my back pressed up against the cubicle's wall. She stares at it, then back at me. I see for a moment the plan goes through her eyes. Yes, I know it's kind of stupid. This goes against every instinct I have. Well, not quite every instinct. My sense of humanity shines bright, but the others, the ones that have thus far kept me alive, are resentful and angry. "I know," I whisper, "but please, I need you to get in. Get out of here before they realize you're missing. So please, just get in." She stares at me. I can see the gears turning in her head. Her eyes are red and raw, but she has stopped crying and she clambers carefully into the box. Stay quiet. Don't move. I'll get you out. I close the lid. I stretch my back. I turn behind me and unlock the door in preparation. Then, when I think the bathroom is clear, I squat down and grab the box, tilting it upwards, sliding both my hands beneath. Christ. The girl, of course, is not particularly heavy, but the size and shape of the box meant that a disproportionate amount of weight is being supported by my forearms. I grunt with the strain as I rise to a stand, adjusting the positions of my arms as best I can. I use my feet to open the door and stride back through the bathroom, pushing into the corridor and returning the way I came, through the hallway and the back. At risk, to be sure, if I bump into anyone coming the opposite way, but safer than taking her through the actual main lobby of the restaurant. I won't be able to avoid it entirely. However, the corridor leads past the storeroom and back into the main room, a little closer to the entrance, definitely, but still a fair distance away. Go. Just go for it. Look ahead. Get to the doors. My heart pounds as I walk, awkwardly and at an angle so as to see around the box, but speedy enough, I hope, muscle straining step by step. Hey! Oh God, don't panic. I'm making my way down the edge of the restaurant, down the side, around the far table, a little further ahead, and that's it. The entrance doors, the escape. Hey, waiter! I see movement in the corner of my eye. A patron has risen to their feet at their table. I shoot over a glance and see that it is the man from before with the scorpion fangs, the fly-like glitter ball eyes, and the 4 arms, the one I saved from choking. He waves at me, using one of his hands to wipe the gore from his mouth, flicking the residue down onto the tablecloth and over his empty plate. A part of me wants to just run, to make a break for it. It's not like anyone would stop me. But is the box sturdy enough, or would the girl fall through? And regardless, my behavior would be noticed and noted. I'm on thin ice as it is, but irregular behavior plus missing girl equals guilty. And I don't know what would happen to me if I am judged as such. Game over, I guess. That's the guy that saved me. Get this man a raise, the patron calls, looking over his shoulder as he moves past his fellow customers and ambles towards me. I follow his gaze. He's looking right at Helia, stood with her arms folded at a nearby table. Heck. I lower the box at once, dropping it to the floor a little rougher than I would have liked, but eager to get it out of Helia's direct line of sight. It thuds to the ground between my legs and the closest table. One of the creatures sat at its peers over the side to look at the box with curiosity. Her nostrils flare. The scorpion man reaches me and wraps two of his arms around my shoulder. He laughs, a terrible guttural sound with the smell of his meat hot on his breath. One of his feet kicks carelessly up against the box, but he pays no mind. Another round of applause starts to roll around the restaurant floor as all the patrons look my way once again. Helia is making her way over. My heart hammers in my chest. I glance feverishly down to the box. Don't move. I will its occupant. Please. Please don't draw any attention. This the waiter I was telling you about. The man trottles to Helia as she approaches our position. He deserves a reward or something, is all I'm saying. Yes, Helia replies, her chin's wobbling. Quite right, sir, quite right. I was actually witness to the incident myself. She's just under 2 meters away now, making her way around the table towards us. What are you still doing here, John? She asks. I thought you'd have made your way home by now. The applause dies down. The customers turn back to their tables. The thick, sticky stench of the atmosphere weighs heavily down upon us all. The conversation and the munching and grinding of meals continues across the restaurant floor. But still she approaches. I can't speak, I can't think. There is no moisture in my mouth, and my tongue sticks to its roof. She comes to a stop by the box. The scorpion man has written something on a note and stuffed it into my front pocket with a heavy pat on the back. A contact number perhaps? A tip? Or his name? I have no idea. I don't really care. I don't listen as she shares some final words with Helia. I don't watch him as he departs. I stare intent at my boss as she regards the box with curiosity. What have you got here, John? She asks as time slows right down. I fumble for words. I was just trash. I'm just finishing up. Thought I'd take the trash with me on my way out. I swallow. And Helia bends down to open the box's lid.